More on EU and China relations. We're joined now by Chen Chenchen. She's an economist with Renmin University of China. Well, it seems like China is putting a premium on relations with the EU with recent visits by State Councilor and Foreign Minister Wang Yi and Vice Premier Liu He. Will that sort of diplomacy lay the groundwork for some sort of agreement, do you think?
Yes, of course. I think judging from yesterday's video meeting, you can see that one big signal between China and the United States is that both sides now further confirm the willingness to cooperate, especially to using multilateralism as an approach to navigate the uncertain times. So following the Foreign Minister Wang Yi's meeting, and until yesterday, I think the two sides now have sorted out the concrete next step cooperation, for example, in green development, in environmental cooperation, and digital economy. I think one biggest judgment from the Chinese side is that in this bilateral relationship with Europe, cooperation still takes the upper hand. I think that's the biggest judgment. If you look at the statistics, actually the China-European trade volume has been climbing. That's a quite big signal to the Chinese side.
You're talking a lot about cooperation. Clearly, that's a good sign. But there are obviously some areas where work is needed because we heard the EU Council President saying Europe needs to be a player, not a playing field. He wants a more balanced relationship with China. Read between the lines. What's he saying there?
I think this means both challenges and opportunities to the Chinese ears. Of course, the essence of the power competition nowadays is the intensified competition along the global industrial chains. And the big variable here is that China has been climbing up the global industrial chain. So it's natural that Europe, which has been relatively slow in especially high-tech sectors, now tries to catch up and intensify the competition with China. So that's the challenge. But the good news is that Europe has also been saying that it wants the technological sovereignty, which means it does not rule out the cooperation with China, especially, for example, in 5G sectors. And, for example, if you read the signals from German side, they say if they do not cooperate with China in 5G, Germany will lag behind in such construction of 5G, and the loopholes of safety could be managed through strict monitoring. So I think that's also a cooperation to the Chinese ears.
You mentioned 5G, Huawei. When we think about those two, we also see a lot of pressure coming from the United States aimed at Europe. How much is the U.S. kind of involved in kind of driving the tensions, do you think?
I think the elements from Washington will not go away, not just in near end, but also after the elections this year, because it's a structural competition between the United States and China. And Washington has issued an unprecedentedly comprehensive industrial policy package since the founding of the United States. So I think that will, of course, exert certain impacts on Europe, but as I said, if you read the signals from Europe, Europe has its own interests to sort out. It tries to position itself between China and the United States. It does not want to simply pick a side between the two powers, and it thinks the confrontation between the two powers is not in alignment with European interests. So I think that's also a good news for the Chinese side.
Yeah, it's a tough juggling act in many respects. I can't thank you enough for your analysis. Thank you for joining us.